Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Oh, my word. It is already Monday. It has been a crazy busy weekend here for me. I'm sure y'all have had very similar experiences over the weekend, but I'm curious, did you get any rest over the weekend? Let me know in the webinar chat. I'm curious, is there any rest for the weary? I know this is hard work getting ready to take those boards, getting through this nursing school process. So let me know, did you have a restful weekend? So, if we have never met before, my name is Jennifer Bonner. I'm the manager of nursing services here at Archer Review, and a lot of what I do is private tutoring and webinars and presenting small groups, things like that. And so I'm very delighted that you have been able to join me this morning as we're going to go through some study strategies. Now, I'm curious, how many of you are still in the middle of nursing school? Have not graduated yet? Still in the thick of it. You can use the raise your hand feature. You can let me know in the chat. How many of you are still in nursing school? Okay, a few of you. How many of you are getting ready to take the NCLEX? Okay, so I know that as we are preparing for either of those things, whether it is a nursing school test, whether it's the NCLEX, there is a lot to review, right? There are a lot of things that we are trying to solidify in our brain that we're trying to study through, and it can be very difficult. So today, during our time together, we are going to talk about some of those strategies. What are things that are tried and true, proven, that you can do, you can start implementing even today to be able to gain that knowledge and ultimately jump over that hurdle of your nursing school exam or your NCLEX. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we are going to talk about is what's going on at Archer Review this week. So we're going to head on over to the website. We're going to scroll on down on our tutoring page and see what is available this week. And if you will notice, today we have a small group. Y'all, this is probably one of my very favorite, next to test taking strategies, small groups that we offer. If you have never worked with Shelly Kundick, she is an amazing nursing educator. Her background is school nursing. She is fabulous. She's a wealth of knowledge. She's the head of our IP department. And she is going to be working with you. How do we practically break down those NGN questions? What are things that we're looking for? How do we think through them? So this is an hour small group from 11 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. This is in Mountain Daylight Time for me. But it would be 12 noon to 12:59 p.m. this afternoon in Central Time if you're interested in joining. It's an hour session, $35. You do get the slides for that. It is a great value if you're someone that's struggling with understanding how to work through those. Now, tomorrow, let's see what we have. We have a hour tutoring session with Lauren. We have one, two, three of those. We have an hour session with Emma tomorrow, so availability there. We have our sessions available on, see, on Wednesday. Thursday, we have some sessions available. And Friday, we even have some sessions available. So if you are needing some assistance, you're just not sure what to do, where to start, or maybe you're struggling in a particular area, there is a spot for you here at Archer Review. We are here. We're dedicated to your success. We want to come alongside you, help you pass that NCLEX or that nursing school exam. So our hour sessions are $90. We also offer 30-minute sessions. So if that's something that you're interested in and you don't see availabilities for the time that you need, please email us, nursing@archerreview.com. We'd be happy to see how we can assist you. Now, someone is asking, is this live or pre-recorded? This is live. And so we are going to interact. I want you to be able to ask your questions, get your questions answered. So the next thing we need to talk about is, where do we put what? Where does it go? So if you have a question that you need answered, please go ahead and put that into the Q&A. If you are answering one of my questions, please go ahead and put that into the webinar chat. You're also going to notice that as you put those things into the chat, you're not going to be seeing everybody's responses. And there's a lot of reasons for that. We want you to be able to think independently as we're going through these things. But please know if you do have a question, I'd be absolutely happy to answer that for you. Just let me know. Questions you need answered goes into the Q&A, and answers to my questions or just general comments go into the webinar chat. Now, someone is asking, how do I register for tutors? So what you do is you go into archerreview.com. Let me show you. So you will go into archerreview.com and it'll look something like this. You'll scroll down into RN or PN, whichever one is your need there. And then you'll go into tutors. So NCLEX, and you'll be able to scroll down. So let's say that I want to take advantage of Lauren's session tomorrow. I just click it and then it adds to cart. So just like that, fairly easy. All right, well, let's get back to our matters at hand. And so when we are going through studying, the first thing we need to know is, what is our learning style? Now, we know that there are a lot of different learning styles. There's visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and all of these learn in different ways. Visual, we gain the majority of our knowledge through seeing things. Auditory, we need to hear it. Kinesthetic, y'all, this is me. I need to touch things. I need to do it. I take notes. I highlight like nobody's business. So I'm curious, do you know what your learning style is? Let me know in the webinar chat if you do. So a lot of times we have people that may be a few, maybe not just one. And so they need to hear and see things. They need to see and touch things. They need to hear and touch things. So wherever you are, it's totally fine. Now, if you are someone that's like, Jennifer, I don't know. I don't know what my style is. There are so many learning assessments there on the internet. Feel free to look those up. And just to give you an idea, how do you learn best? So for our visual people, PowerPoints are huge. Videos, big deal. Auditory, listening to lectures. These are fabulous for those of you who are on the go. You can put on our webinars. You can listen to them in the car. You can go for a walk. I am a huge encourager of moving your body. So getting outside, going for a walk, getting some of that vitamin D from the sun is huge. And then kinesthetic. These are our students that really enjoy taking notes. They like to act things out, maybe making concept maps, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But when we start to move forward, we also need to see where we have come from. And so when we start thinking about our study habits, it's really important that we know what works and what doesn't work. And then we need to be able to change those up just a little bit. So when I was in nursing school, I would stay up late. I would cram. I was working a full-time job. Sometimes too, I was, trying to keep all of the plates spinning, right? I was commuting. I was in a carpool. There were just a lot of activities going on at the same time. And I realized after the fact that cramming was not working, but I didn't do anything about it while I was in the thick of nursing school. And so we need to figure out what has worked and what hasn't worked. What did work for me was making flashcards because, like I said, we had an hour commute, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes sometimes. And I was in a carpool, so I wasn't always driving, but I could use those flashcards for not only my benefit, but also the benefit of those who were in the carpool. And then we want to figure out, are there any other learning methods that we could implement? Now, there are lots of ways to figure this out. One of them is that if you know you're a kinesthetic learner, you can search for lots of different things. Kinesthetic learning opportunities for nurses or visual learning opportunities when studying for the NCLEX. There are a lot of different things, but remember, consistency is key. So we're going to talk about a lot of different opportunities today. So I want you to think about it for just a minute. How would you rank your current study habits? There's no right, there's no wrong answer. I just want you to take a moment and be honest with yourself. Where are your study habits at? Are they top notch? Are they right there at the top? Do they need a little bit of tweaking or do they need balled up, tossed in the trash, and start over? How would you rank your current study habits? Okay, someone says six. Okay, so wherever you are, I'm seeing some fives, kind of right in the middle. Someone says, I need to start over. It is okay wherever you are. Now, we always talk about, well, maybe you haven't heard this, but when we talk about um our clients who are trying to move forward, admitting that you have a problem is the first step, right? And so when we are able to identify the fact that, hey, this isn't working anymore, that is a huge step. So let's talk about ways to study. Now, there are a lot of ways. This is just kind of a little snippet, but practice questions. Y'all, I love practice questions. Well, I don't love them, but I think it's a great way to study. And here's why. You might be sitting there saying, Jennifer, but I don't know the answers. That's okay. So going through practice questions not only gives you the opportunity to see what you do and don't know, but it also has you practicing, especially if it is a NCLEX style question. You are getting the opportunity to look at what questions may look like when you go to take your exam. And so you're getting the opportunity to practice these, work with them, get familiar with what they look like, how they work. Taking notes. Someone just said, I love taking notes. So, as you are listening, maybe you're somebody who is an auditory learner, you're listening to those lectures. Take notes as you go, be actively engaged. Now, if you are not a auditory learner and you're sitting in listening to lecture, now that's still necessary, right? Unless you want to read all the notes for yourself, you're going to find out what are those things that are really important, what's necessary. So we know that it's impossible to know everything that you could possibly be asked for the NCLEX. So taking notes is going to be helpful along that journey as you are noting, okay, this is really important, or this is helpful when I'm trying to learn this information. Flashcards, these are great for lab values, for, I know they make pharmacology flashcards to be able to do in the car when we go on long trips or maybe commuting. Someone just said, how can we print the papers out to take notes for the studying chart? I'm having a hard time finding it. Are you asking about the study plan? Let me know if you can put that in the Q&A. I'd be absolutely happy to help you. The study plan. So when you go into the study calendars, they're on the left side of your dashboard. It'll say study calendars and you can pull those off and print them if you need to. I'm definitely somebody, I need to print things, highlight, cross things off. It makes me feel more accomplished. All right, listening. This is really helpful when you are in the car or you're going for a walk or whatever that looks like, even on flights, and then looking at images. There are many times, I was actually just studying some information the other day on hepatitis B and how to figure out, are they immune? Are they not immune? Is it from a vaccine? Is it something they have? What is it? And so putting together little images that will help solidify that information in your mind. And then finally teaching someone. If you are someone that is really struggling with your QBank questions, read through the rationales, understand why is the right answer right? Why are the wrong answers wrong? Get to the point where you could teach somebody that information. Talk out loud. Pretend like we are sitting right there next to you. Now, part of this process is finding out what you don't know and learning to know it. Okay. So this is figuring out what we don't know. But how do we find out what we don't know? Because sometimes we don't know what we don't know until we don't know it, right? And that can be a very difficult situation. So we need to know, what do we know? So as we're going through those Q bank questions, we're like, yeah, I got this. I could explain that in my head. I match it up to the rationale. Yep, good to go. But one thing that I really encourage students doing is keeping some paper right next to your desk so that you can write down those confusing topics to go back and revisit them later. I definitely recommend this as you are going through your tutorial mode in your Q bank. If you get to a question on, let's see, cardiovascular accident, like, listen, I don't understand the patho behind this. I need to go back to it. I'm going to put CVA, patho. So I know hopefully by the end of the day, I can revisit that information, because what's going to happen is my brain is going to tell me, Jennifer, you took a question on cardiovascular accidents and you didn't know the answer. Yes, brain. Indeed, that is correct. But if I go back and review that information very soon, after that experience, my brain is going to say, hey, Jennifer, do you remember when you didn't know what that was talking about, but you went back and you reviewed it? Hey, I'm going to hold on to that. It's really interesting how that works and how our brain holds on to that. Go back and look at previous readiness assessments, CAT assessments. See if there's any trends that you're noticing. It's a lot of times with pediatrics pharmacology, or maybe it's in maternity. See if there's any trends there. And then I want you to use your resources fully. Now, our rationales are great. They tend to explain things very well, but there are times when we just need a little more information, and that's okay. So I want you to find 1 to 2 trusted resources outside that you can go to and have those readily available. So we were talking about flashcards there for a little bit, and sometimes these are really helpful when it comes to memorizing information. Now, there are some things that we just have to memorize. We just need to know what those lab values are. We need to know the antidotes, and those are things that repetition can really help with. So lists, recalling facts, we know there are times when that is necessary, right? Now, what I want you to get to is the point where you understand that information, where you can apply it to new situations. This is where understanding pathophysiology is huge, because when we understand the why behind a disease process, that's where we can start to implement it. We can start to explain. We can start to draw those connections, and it's going to stay with us, not just through the exam, but hopefully for a long time. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. Have you spent more time memorizing or understanding material? You don't have to answer, but if you feel comfortable, please go ahead. Vanessa's wanting to know, do you recommend um, the videos take me all day, or at least 2 days, since I'm writing everything down, then I don't have time to do the practice questions. Okay, so I don't recommend writing everything down. I recommend writing down things that are going to be helpful to help you remember, or things that you need to go back and review. Those are big ones. I don't recommend writing everything down. We have recently revamped our study calendars to where the videos are much shorter. There's more of them, but they are shorter chunks that you can go through. So that might be helpful as well. Ultimately, it's what's going to work for you. Remember that what works for me may not work for you, and that's okay. We can certainly help you develop your own study plan when it comes to joining one of our private tutoring sessions. So many of us tend to memorize that material. So, how can we move into more of an understanding? Well, actively studying is one of those. As we are going through information, especially if you're in nursing school, start to formulate your own questions. Make your own quiz. Start a study group where everybody makes their own quiz, and then you switch to see how you do. Start to teach others. It doesn't matter if it's your dog, your toddler. Rachel Taylor makes a joke that she used to read her baby nursing school textbooks. She was wanting to get that information into her brain, but also be able to interact with her daughter. And so that is a great way to do that either. Also, so making concept maps, going back to the big idea. Look at the question, the evidence, and the conclusion. What are you being asked? So reword that in your head. Try to visualize what the answer is, and then start looking at your options. Now, another thing that's very helpful, and we've talked about this before, is flashcards. These are great for on the go. You can put them on a little ring, keep them in your car. You can put them in a sleeve. You can laminate them, but you can even put these on your phone, I have seen. These are great for on the go, whether you're stuck in traffic, you are waiting in the drive-through line, maybe you're waiting to pick up someone, or you got to clinical early and it's not quite time to go in yet. These are great if you just want to be able to fill that time. Good for memorization. So pharmacology, lab values. If you are working on medical terminology. So we know that there are ways that a lot of times we can break down words, even if we don't know what the word is, by putting it into word cells. Like pre means before, post means after, tri means three, things like that. These flashcards are wonderful for that information. And so, as you gain knowledge in this information, check it off so you don't spend so much time there. And then start to group your knowledge together. So if you are working on, let's see, pharmacology, today I'm going to work on my maternity pharmacology because I'm looking at tocolytics and oxytotics. Okay. Someone is saying, I find I read and then they don't stick. Are there tips to hold on to that information? Yes. So actively engaging with your text. I am someone that I get distracted if I'm reading something that I'm not super excited about. So maternity class, it was great. I was able to focus. I had that information, no problem. But if we were looking at other topics that I wasn't particularly interested in, I would get distracted. And so I would be reading, but my mind would be somewhere else. So one of my first recommendations is find a distraction free zone. Turn your phone off, at least on silent, flip it over, engage with the text. So as you are reading, if you find something that's important, so if it answers one of the objectives, highlight it, write it down. I recommend doing both of those things because you're engaging twice. Your attention's being taken from the text to, hey, what color highlighter am I going to grab? And then after that, it is what kind of you writing utensil, where's my paper, let's write this down. So there are great ways to be able to actively engage. That's a really good question. So let's look at what a sample note card could look like. So if we are working through pharmacology, I'm going to put the category of the medication in that top left corner, anticoagulants, the medication I'm specifically looking at in the right-hand corner, which is heparin. I have a pen problem. If you guys could see my pen stash, it is rather large, and I have a pen in almost any color you can imagine. And so I would start to get a code together. The category is going in one color, the medication is going in another, the important information is going into another, what to monitor for, what the antidote is if there is one. And so I want that pertinent information. So what is this medication doing? Okay, so it's a thrombin inhibitor, it's preventing clots. How is it given? So it's dosed off of APTT. So that is a very important lab to know. I want to know what's a normal APTT, right? What's therapeutic? And then any other pertinent information. So this will not disrupt an established clot. It's just to prevent them, right? So what am I monitoring for? I am monitoring for anything that's going to cause bleeding, right? Or that could show me there is bleeding. So bleeding gums, urine that has blood in it, hematomas. What are some things that I can do to decrease that risk? Well, I want to avoid any contact sports, contact activities. I want to be very careful with shaving or maybe change to an electric razor. And I want to avoid those things that can make bleeding worse if or make it more likely. And then if there is an antidote, I definitely want you to know that. So this one for heparin, our antidote is protamine sulfate. So this is a great way. I do recommend having a system for your note cards so that things aren't just everywhere. So the category, the medication, important information, any important labs, monitoring, antidotes. Okay. All right. Also taking notes. So this can help you solidify that information, especially if you are kinesthetic. Try to figure out what information is pertinent. Now, this is why I really enjoy putting closed captioning on my videos, because I don't have to go back and re-listen. I know what I heard, but I just need to be able to write it down. Put it in your own words. Change the wording up from what the presenter said. Use different colors. That can also be helpful. But I'm curious, after you take notes, do you typically go back and review them? Let me know in the webinar chat. Do you typically review your notes? Okay, several of you are saying yes, I absolutely do. So whether you do or don't, this is a really good way to go back and help solidify that information after you've done it. Go back, read through your notes. If there's something that's still sticky, just make a note of it. Now, this is an example of a concept map. I really enjoy these, especially for medication classes. So in the middle, we are going to put what medication class we're working with. And today it's hypertensive medications. So any particular points that we need to know about these medications. So we're going to avoid alcohol. We don't want our clients to just stop taking these cold turkey. And then I'm going to categorize them. I have my ACEs, my calcium channels, my beta blockers, and my ARBs. So out of these categories, I want to say, okay, what are they doing? How do they work? That's what's in these orange boxes. And then I want to know about my side effects. These are my green boxes. And then any examples. So this is where I'm going to put, how do I know what drug class this is? So my prills are my ACEs. These are my calcium channel blockers. My Artans, these are my pirate medications. My angiotensin receptor blockers, my Artans, or my ARBs. And then my laughing medications are my beta blockers, my OLALs. So when it comes to concept maps, I want you to handwrite them. You can make kind of a template if you want, but I don't feel like those are great for being able to edit very well. So I tend to make my own, handwrite them, use different colors. Make sure you're prioritizing that content. What is most important? So labs, education, what they do, and then any antidotes that might be there. And then review and revise as you need to. Now, another way to learn information is to listen to it. So we have a great podcast here at Archer Review. It's called Pulsed In with Morgan Taylor. Fabulous. Lots of really good information, from practical, how do I work through this, to test taking strategies, encouragement from our educators. It is amazing. You can listen to lectures again. That's one of the great things about our on-demand videos, is that you can listen to them not just once, not just twice, but hundreds if you really wanted to. And so this is good if you need to get out and move your body, but you don't want to miss some of that study time. Now, this one is probably my favorite. Someone's asking, where can you find the podcast? You can go to whatever your podcast platform is and just search Pulsed In, and you'll find it there. Excellent question. Teaching someone. This is huge. This tells you, especially if you're teaching somebody that can tell you whether you're right or wrong, it tells you whether you have that information solidified or not. You can teach anybody. I have had students teach their kiddos stuffed animals. I have had students teach their dog, their chickens. But I want you to make sure that you go back after you have done this, if you don't have somebody that knows what you're talking about, and go back through your notes to make sure you didn't miss information. All right. So I want to talk just a few minutes about study plans here. If you go, let me show you where this is. So if you go into your dashboard, oops, I'm going to have to log in here. One moment. Do, 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 do. All right. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go into my dashboard, and I'm going to scroll on down to SurePass. Okay, and you'll see right here, I have my study calendar. So there's a 3-week, there's a 4-week. These have recently changed, so the 3-week is no longer there. but there are a few different options available. So you just go into your dashboard, scroll down to study calendars, and those will be there for you. Any questions on that? Okay. So if you're someone that you don't know where to start, let me recommend our SurePass combo. It is a one-stop shop. It has our on-demand videos, our Q Bank, our 3-day live lecture. So you are getting all of that information in one space. There's no need to go other places. So feel free, if you are a RN, scan the left side, LPN, scan the right, and it will take you right where you need to go. Okay. Someone is saying, can you show the copies we can print out for the studying chart? Yes, I can show you that. Just one moment. So let's go back here. Let's get into my dashboard. So first, I want to make sure that you're able to see the study calendars. That is the first step, to make sure that you have that study calendar. It should be right here, say study calendar. Someone is asking which one is the cohort intense prep. I don't have that QR code here on there, but if you go to the website, I'll show you where to find that here in just a moment. All right, so study calendar. Okay. And so right here, so you can choose the 4-week, and then you would just print here. So that's how you would print that. Now, if you are interested in intense prep, I would recommend going to RN or LPN. You're going to scroll down, and right here is intense prep. So you can choose 3 months or 6 months. Don't forget to use that code NewGrad20 for some extra percentage off. All right. I know that was a lot of information. So I am curious, how many of you have found some new strategies to take away from our time together? Remember, here at Archer Review, we are more than just NCLEX prep. We are here to come alongside you in your nursing journey. Whether you just decided, hey, I'm going to nursing school in the fall, or maybe you're on the other side of things and you're saying, hey, I am going back to NP school. I'm going to become a women's health nurse practitioner or a family nurse practitioner. We have a community for you. So go ahead and scan the QR code there that pertains to you, and we cannot wait to connect. If you have questions that we were not able to answer, whether you're needing some tutoring, please feel free to reach out to us. It's nursing@archerreview.com. Thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you back next Monday for our next free webinar. Take care, everyone.